Hi everyone, welcome to our class today. Just to recap, we are going to discuss about the area moment of inertia. If you have been coming into our classes on the face-to-face classes from before, we have already discussed this one. So I will just have to reintroduce area moment of inertia to you. And also, since this is still a part of our review sessions from the previous subjects that you have, CE related subjects. So we are going to um, uh, fast track this one. Okay, so by definition, when we say area moment of inertia or moment of inertia in simple terms, um, it can also be called as the second moment of inertia. We also have another type of moment of inertia, which is with regards to the mass of the object. But in this case, we're going to talk about more on the area moment of inertia because this is what's going to be very relevant to our topics such as the design of beams, columns, since we are more into uh, um, the cross-sectional area of the beams and columns. So um, again, moment of inertia is the product of area and the square of its moment arm about a reference axis. So for example, if we have this one on the first example we have, so if we have this rectangular area, so if we take into account a strip, no, so that is our considered, or that's what we consider as the area. And then the moment arm is going to be the distance y from the reference axis x. So that is why in this case we're going to refer this one as the ix, since our reference axis is the x-axis. So x-axis, then we have the area and the square of its moment arm. No, so this one um, we have a lot of methodologies to compute for the moment of inertia of an object. Um, but the first one is through integral calculus. So, but I won't um, discuss this more now. I think um, if you remember in your previous classes, maybe this was discussed, area moment of inertia. But yeah, the next portion or the next method in computing for the moment of inertia of an object is to use the common shapes. No? So sometimes our cross-sectional area is a common shape. For example, we have a rectangular cross-sectional area, or circular, or let's say triangular, or what else. So that means we already have established formulas for those one with regards to moment of inertia. So with that, we have here the area moment of inertia of common shapes. So the first one we have here a rectangular shape with a moment of inertia. If we use the reference axis as the centroid, the first one, this one, this is um, with regards or in reference to the centroid of your rectangle. So if we use that one, then our formula for the moment of inertia of a rectangle is going to be bh cubed over 12. And then if um, we compute for the IY, no, so if we compute for the IY, what will happen is the the base and the height is going to be interchanged, no? So, but basically, um, this will be b cube h over 12. And then also, another method is if we use the reference axis at the bottom of the rectangle. which is in this case, so we use the transfer formula. If you remember transfer formula, if not, let us discuss that later on. But the using transfer formula, our new formula for the moment of inertia with reference to the x-axis is going to be h cubed over 3. So, and then if you compute for iy, that is going to be b cubed h over 3. So that is for rectangle. And then for the triangle, we have here ix equal to bh cubed over 36. So when we use the value of h, or the height of the the triangle, that means that the um, the height that is in 90 degrees to your um, x-axis or to your base, no? So that means that is perpendicular to your base. So we could not use this one as the height, no? Because again, by definition, h is going to be or should be a perpendicular height to your base. So if this is your base, you have perpendicular, so the height of the triangle is going to be h. So we have there bh cubed over 36. And then if we have, or if we use the reference axis at the bottom of the triangle at the base, then our formula is going to be bh cubed over 12. And then if we have circle, so in circle, let's just use this first formula here, ix, since usually for circle, we use the centroid, no? So we don't usually use the bottom of the circle. So we have here pi r to the power 4 over 4. So wherein r is our radius. And then we also have semicircle, wherein for our semicircle we have ix and iy. We have pi r to the power 4 over 8. So again, r is in terms of radius. And then to simplify that, pi over 8, we have 0.11 r to the power 4. Then for a quarter circle, we have pi r to the power 4 over 16. And again, that is for ix and iy. And also, if we simplify that, we have 0.055 r to the power of 4. So that is going to be our working formulas for area moment of inertia. But in computing the area moment of inertia, it would be very helpful for us to remember our previous lesson, which is the centroid, because in computing the the area, the moment arm, and also even let's say the reference axis. If we change the reference axis to one place to another, then we will have to maybe we will have to use the centroid. Also, it would be better if you remember the centroid, or if during the quiz or during the exam, you also review for the centroid. So, again, as I've said, we are going to talk about the transfer formula. So, when we talk about transfer formula, basically this is a formula that we have to use whenever we transfer our reference axis from the previous reference axis. Say, for example, when we compute for the moment of inertia, usually we refer to the centroid of an object. No, so just like uh, in the rectangular shape earlier, no, so we have a formula for the moment of inertia with respect to the centroid of your rectangle cross-sectional area. But if we move the reference axis, then we will have to use the transfer formula. So the transfer formula allows you to calculate the moment of inertia when transferring from one axis to another parallel axis. So basically, we have here I is equal to IO plus AD squared, wherein I is the moment of inertia of the new axis, and then IO is the moment of inertia about the original axis, wherein, again, if we use our common shapes, moment of inertia, most of those are in terms of our centroid, also the original axis. And A is the area of the shape, and then D is the distance between the two axes. So the perpendicular distance between the two axes. So that is our transfer formula. So now let us try to compute for example number 1. So computing the moment of inertia. So first, we have an object below, and as stated by the problem, compute the moment of inertia of the object below about the reference line. So the reference line that we have here is at the bottom of the cross-sectional area. So that means that from the centroid, or from the, so you have a lot of shapes here. You can make two shapes, no? So you have here a rectangular on the upper portion, and the rectangle on the lower portion. So with that, you have, when we compute for the moment of inertia, we usually we add if there is an addition. So say for example, we have your first shape, the first rectangle at the top. So you add the second rectangle of the at the bottom. So that means if you have a moment of inertia, the value of the moment of inertia of the one at the top should be added to the moment of inertia at the one in the bottom to compute, or to get the total moment of inertia of the whole structure. So with that, we also have to compute for the centroid. So it is very important for us to compute for the centroid to recall this, to get the value, or the location, or the distance, no? So the perpendicular distance of your first object to the centroid of the whole thing. So say for example, we have the first shape, the first rectangle. So in computing for the moment of inertia of that one, so we have to use transfer formula. No? So we cannot directly use transfer formula for the whole thing, because you have a built-up section. So because it is a built-up section, first is we have to get the moment of inertia of each shape of that built-up section. That means using transfer formula from that one. And then later on, once we got the moment of inertia of the whole object, no? So on the with reference to the centroid, so we still have to compute again using the transfer formula. So that means we have to use the transfer formula 2 times in this problem. So say for example, we have here, first let's try to find the centroid. So but with that, let's compute for the total area of the 2 shapes that we have. So we have the first rectangle with width 10 inches and height 2 inches. So area 1 is going to be 2 times 10 inches. And then the second rectangle we have the height 8 inches and the width or the thickness 3 inches. So we add that to the previous one, so 3 times 8 inches. That means we have 20 plus 24, so we have a total area of 44 square inches. So that is our total area. And then, in computing for the location of the centroid, so if you remember the Varignon's theorem, so we have the total area times the distance from the centroid, of the centroid. So from our reference axis first. So in this case, our reference axis is going to be at the bottom, so reference line. So with that, we have that is equal to the summation of the area of each shape times the perpendicular distance of the centroid of that shape. So we have here area 1 times d1 plus area 2 times d2. So we have the value of our total area, 44 square inches, times the distance. So that means from this point to this point. So that is equal to, the first area is 20 square inches times 9. We got 9 because from this portion, so the centroid is along this line. So that means half of 2 inches. So below the centroid of the first shape, so you have 1 inch, and then another distance towards the reference line is going to be the height of the second shape, so 8 inches. So 1 inch and 8 inches, so that is a total of 9 inches. So we have 20 times 9 plus the second area, 24 square inches, times d2, which is the distance of the centroid of the second shape. So in this case, we have 8 inches divided by 2, so since it is located at the centroid of the rectangle, so we have 4 inches. So therefore, if we compute that one and then divide it with 44, so just as what we did here, we are going to have a value of 6.27 inches. That is the distance from the reference line towards the centroid of the whole thing. So that is your centroid. But still, we still haven't got to the point of computation for the moment of inertia. So we still have to compute for the moment of inertia. So from that, so we have the next method, or I mean the next part. So the computation for the moment of inertia. So what we did here is we are since we are going to compute for the for the okay, so we are going to compute for the total moment of inertia about the centroid or the xx line. So xx line, that is our centroid. So actually, correction, di ay. Sayop da ito ang aking previous na slide. So, dili siya, our goal today is not to compute for the reference, the moment of inertia about the reference line, but to compute for the moment of inertia about the centroid. So I will just correct the data, or sorry, the question there. So dili ta maglibog. But yeah, so what we did here is to directly use the transfer formula. So basically, again, as I've told you earlier, to compute for the total moment of inertia about an axis, so if you have two shapes, you have to add those two shapes. So IA, wherein A is our first shape, plus IB, wherein B is our second shape, and IN, and so on. No? So if you have a lot more shapes in your cross-sectional area. If there is a cutout from your shape, so what you because in this case, what you can actually also do is to consider this one whole thing as a rectangle with two cutouts here on the bottom. So if that is the case, then you will have to you compute for the total moment of inertia of the whole rectangle and subtract the moment of inertia of the cutouts. No, but since in this problem we have two shapes, no, so we have to add them. No, there's no cutout, so no need to subtract something. So with that, we are using the moment of inertia of a rectangle. So we have 1 over 12, or BH cubed over 12, plus area times d squared, or the transfer formula. So this is your uh, moment of inertia for a common shape of a rectangle, and then we have already used the value, or the transfer formula. So para dali na ta, or diretso na ang computation. So with that, you have IA plus area 1 plus, times d1 squared, plus IB plus area 2 times d2 squared. So naunsa man ni, dapat squared siya. Anyway, so let's just inject the data that we have. So for IA, we have BH cubed over 12. So we have 1 over 12 times base. So base here is 10 inches, and then height is 2 inches. So 10 times 2 cubed. And then your area for that shape, so this is A1, you have 20 times D1 is 2.7273. So how did we compute for the D1, or the distance? No? So again, since this one is in reference to the centroid, so we have to use the perpendicular distance of the reference point of the first shape, or the centroid of the first shape, towards the centroid of the whole thing. So basically, this one, so you have 9 inches. Then you have to subtract na lang the distance of the centroid from the reference line, 6.2727. So that will give us 2.7273 inches. So we square that one to for the transfer formula. And then we add another 1/2, BH cubed over 12. So base, we have 3 inches, and then height 8 inches. So 3 times 8 cubed. Then plus 24, we have our area, times, in this case, we have a distance of 2.7273 from the, they call this, from the centroid, no, towards the centroid, from this portion towards, no, sorry, this is a wrong value. No, this should not be negative 2.7273. Let me correct that one. So this should be 6.2727 minus 4 inches, because with reference to our centroid and then the distance towards there. So that should be 2.2727. No? So, sayop niya siya. Sige. So with that, atong i-try compute, let me try to compute the mistake first. So 2.2727 times 2.2. Diba? So nasayop lang yun siya, di ay. Because in my computation, so 123.96 or roughly 123.97. So this is the correct value. Pero kani siya, kay sayop na siya. This should be 2.2727. And then we square that. So yeah, then again, we just compute all of this and we get the moment of inertia equal to 407.4 inches to the power of 4. So that is your moment of inertia for this shape. About the centroid of that shape. Alright, at this point, let us have example number 2. So in this example, we are to compute the moment of inertia of the object below about the reference line. So based on our drawing here, our reference line is going to be the x-axis, which is at the bottom of our object, which if you check our object, here we have two shapes. So the first shape is going to be a rectangle for the whole thing, this one. And then we also have another shape, which is this one, a semicircle, which we have to subtract from the rectangle. So in this type of drawing, or in this type of cross-sectional area, so what we have to do is to compute for the moment of inertia of the rectangle and then subtract the moment of inertia of the semicircle. So the first step that we have to do again is to compute for the moment of inertia of our first area, which is in this case our rectangle. So in our rectangle here, if we compute for Ax, which is the again moment of inertia that is needed, so we have two options. So the first option is to, if you remember our previous slides, so we have a formula there for the moment of inertia of the rectangle, but with reference to the axis at the bottom of the rectangle. So this is the formula that we have. So that is bh cubed over 3. And then we also have, or we can do a moment computation of the moment of inertia using the formula for the moment of inertia of the rectangle with respect to, or in reference to, the centroid. But since our reference line here is going to be at the bottom of the rectangle, so what we have to do is to still compute or to use the transfer formula. So, which means we have to add AD squared. So that is going to be our full formula for the Ix of the rectangle. So on the other hand, for the Iy, with respect to y-axis, we all know the centroid is going to be at this portion. So if we compute for Iy, then we can just directly use the formula of the centroid, or I mean the formula of the moment of inertia with respect to the centroid. But I guess in this problem we are only supposed to compute for Ix. So let's continue. So we have again here our first method. We have bh cubed over 3. So let's just put in our data. So our base is, since our semicircle has a radius of 4 inches. That means our diameter for the whole semicircle is going to be 8 inches. And from this point up to this point, we have there the diameter, which is equal to our base, the base of the rectangle. So that means that our base is going to be 8 inches. And then our height is from the top of the rectangle up to the bottom, we have 10 inches. So put it in, we have 10 cubed, and then divided by 3. So the Ix, or the moment of inertia with reference to the x-axis, is going to be 2,666.67 inches to the power of 4. So again, that is one method. So the second method is again to use the transfer formula. So we have to compute the moment of inertia with respect to the centroid of the rectangle, and then use the transfer formula after that. So with that, we have here bh cubed over 12 plus ad squared. So let's just type in our data. So again, our base is 8, our height is 10, so we have 8 times 10 cubed over 12, and then we add our area, and then times d squared. So for our area, so we have here the whole area of the rectangle. Sorry, this, no, this is wrong. So this should be 8. So let me check first. So 8 times 10 times 5 squared. Wait, let me correct that. So there, we have 8 times 10 to the power, times 5 squared. So if we compute that, let's check if it's still the same value. So 8, 10 to the power 3 over 12 plus 8 times 10 times 5 squared. Okay, so that is still the same value. So this is the right data that we have. So Ix is going to be 2,666.67 inches to the power 4. So that is our moment of inertia for the rectangle. So we still have to continue with the moment of inertia for our semicircle. So for our semicircle, in this case, we have to use the transfer formula. So since our what do you call this? Our reference axis for this value, 0.11 r to the power 4, is at the centroid of your semicircle. But then again, we have to transfer the reference line to the x-axis at the bottom of the rectangle. So with that, we are to use the moment of inertia of the semicircle with respect to the centroid, and then transfer it using the transfer formula. So we have here an additional area times d squared. Now, so with that, let us try to compute. So we have 0.11 times 4 to the power of 4. So again, our radius is 4 inches. So then we have the area of our semicircle. So we have pi r squared. So pi times 4 squared over 2. So since it's semicircle, so we divide it by 2. And then we multiply it with the perpendicular distance of the centroid of the semicircle, towards the reference axis, which is the x-axis. So in this case, since our known data in here is this data, so let's say the centroid is here. So we all know that that is 4r over 3 pi. So since that is 4r over 3 pi, to compute for the distance towards your centroid of the semicircle, what we have to do is to subtract the 10 inches of the total height of the rectangle with 4r over 3 pi. So that's what we're doing here. So we have 10 minus 4r over 3 pi. So 4 times our radius, 4 inches, over 3 pi. And then since that perpendicular distance is squared, so we have to square it all. So with that, if we compute for the value, we will have Ix of the semicircle will be equal to 1760.53 inches to the power of 4. So now that we have our moment of inertia for the rectangle and the semicircle, we can now compute for the total moment of inertia of the whole thing. So that means we have to subtract the moment of inertia of the semicircle from the rectangle. So we have here the Ix with respect to the x-axis. So that is equal to the moment of inertia of the rectangle minus the moment of inertia of semicircle. So our values we have here 2666.67 inches to the power of 4 minus 1760.53 inches to the power of 4. And with that, our total moment of inertia with respect to x, with all of the shape, the composite area, so we will have the remaining value 906.14 inches to the power of 4. So that is the answer for example number 2. Now let's continue with our example number 3. So we have here, we have to determine the moment of inertia of the area shown with respect to its centroidal axis. So we have here a composite beam with that is shaped like an I-beam. But the flanges at the top and the bottom are of not the same size. So since they're not the same size, we are to compute also for the moment of inertia. Even if they're the same size, we can also still compute for the moment of inertia. But now, what we have to do is to divide all the shapes into common shapes. So our common shapes we have here, this one on the side. So that is area 1 at the bottom flange, and then area 2, the web, the rectangular area, and then area 3 is the rectangular area of the top flange. So with that, what we have to do is first compute our we call this our areas and then the distances of their centroid. So first we have A1 equal to since this is A1, so the width of A1 is 12 inches and the thickness or the height is 1 inch, sorry. So with that we will have area of the bottom flange 12 times 1, that is equal to 12 square inch. And then the distance from the bottom of the flange. So let's reference first at the bottom of the flange. So that we can compute for the centroid later on. So what we have to do is we have here, since this is just a rectangular area, so half of your height is going to be your distance, no, to your centroid. So you have 0.5 inch. And then if we are to compute for the moment of inertia, no, directly, so we have here base 12 times height 1. So we raise that to the power of 3 and then divide all of it with 12. So that gives us the moment of inertia equal to 1 inch to the power of 4. And then our next step is going to be for the second area. For the second area, we have here the flange. The web. Wherein our web has a height of 12 inches and a thickness of 1 inch. So because of that, our area is 1 times 12 equal to 12 square inch. And then our distance of the centroid of that specific shape, A2, from the bottom of the whole flange, no? So first we have to, since again this is a rectangular um, shape, so our centroid for that specific area, area 2, is going to be at the center. No, so that means y over 2. No, so that means this is 12 divided by 2, so we have 6 inches. And then we still have 1 inch at the bottom before the web. No? So we still have the thickness of the flange, the bottom flange, to go, and then we will be at the bottom of the whole flange, or sorry, the whole I-beam. So that means we have 6 inches from centroid and then another 1 inch, so a total of 7 inches. So that is our distance, and then we have our moment of inertia. What we're doing here is, as you can see, we're still using the BH cube over 12. So that is with respect to the centroid of your shape. So that means we are using the centroid of area 2. So since our base is 1 inch, so this one, and then our height is 12 inches, so we have here base 1 times height 12 to the power of 3 divided by 12. So to compute all that, we will have 144 inches to the power of 4. So that is our moment of inertia for the second shape. So now for the last shape, we have here the area 3, which is our top flange with thickness 1 inch or height of 1 inch and the base equal to 6 inches. So with that, we have here the area of the area 3, we have 6 inches base times height 1 inch. So that is a total of 6 square inch. And then the distance of your centroid of the third shape or area 3 towards the bottom of the whole thing. So we have here 1 inch and then 12 inch, so that is 13, and then half of the remaining 1 inch is where our centroid is located. So that means we have 13 plus, this is 0.5, so we have 13.5 inches. And then we have to compute for the moment of inertia of the third shape. So again, we have base times height cube over 12. So base we have 6, height we have 1 cubed, and then we divide it all with 12. So our I3, or the moment of inertia for the third shape, is going to be 0.5 inches to the power of 4. Now to continue, we are to look for the the centroid actually of your shape. Also, since the problem states that we are to compute for the ix of your and iy actually of your shape with respect to its centroidal axis. So for with respect to the centroidal axis, what we have a problem with is mostly um, to where to locate the x-axis. Now, because the y-axis, since the vertical axis has, the same shape on the right and on the left and on the right. So that means basically the location of your vertical axis or the y-axis is at the middle of the web, no? Or the middle of the whole thing. No? So our problem or our only problem is going to be the location of the x-axis. So with that, to compute for the location of the x-axis, so again, we reference from the bottom. So this is barred y. So using Varignon's theorem, we have total area, sorry, total area times barred y is equal to a1 y1 plus a2 y2 plus a3 y3. So again, this is the total area times the location of your centroid with respect to your reference line, which is in this case, our reference line is at the bottom of the whole thing. Also, and then that is equal to the summation of your area times the distance of their centroids with respect to the reference line. So we have already computed for area 1 y1, a2 y2, and a3 y3. And what we have to do now is to compute for barred y. So total area, we have here, we have 12, and we have 6, so that is a total of 30 square inches. Times barred y, equal to our first area, 12, times the y1, which is 0.5, plus another area that is equal to 12 square inches, times the distance, a perpendicular distance, that is 7, plus 6 times 13.5. So that means our barred y is located 5.7 inches from the bottom of your shape or your I-beam. So because it is located at 5.7 inches, the actual location of your centroid, of the centroid of the area 1 with respect to your centroid for the whole thing, the x-axis, this one, is going to be 5.7 minus 0.5. 0.5 is the distance from the bottom towards the centroid of A1. So that is 5.7 minus 0.5, and then also at the top we have here 13.5 minus barred y. Also, if you remember, what we have computed from the bottom up to that portion is 13.5. So to compute for the moment arm or the perpendicular distance, we have here 13.5 minus 5.7. And then lastly, for area 2, so we know that the location of the centroid of area 2 is at 7 inches from the bottom. So we just have to subtract 5.7, our barred y. So the remaining value is going to be the moment arm. So with that, we can compute for the whole thing, for the ix with respect to the centroidal axis of the whole I-beam. Now, so what we have to do is to do a summation of all formula for moment of inertia. So we have here I1 plus area 1 times the distance. So again, for area 1, our distance from the centroid is going to be barred y minus 0.5. So we all know the value of barred y, that is already 5.7 inches. And then for the other shape, we have here I2 plus area 2 times 7 minus barred y squared. So this one, the second area, so the distance or the moment arm, we have here 7 minus barred y. So again, barred y is 5.7. And then the last shape, area 3, so the moment of inertia plus area 3 times the moment arm. So moment arm for area 3 is 13.5 minus barred y. So barred y is from this point up to the bottom. Also, that means this remaining is going to be 13.5 minus 5.7 inches. So we just have to put it in our formula, the data, I mean, put all the data to our formula. So we will have Ix with respect to the centroidal axis. So we have here 1, which is what we have computed earlier, plus area 1, which is 12 times 5.7 minus 0.5 squared, plus 144 for I2, plus 12, which is our area 2, times 7 minus 5.7 squared. And then for our area 3, we have 0.5, our I3, plus the area 3, 6 times 13.5 minus 5.7 squared. So the total answer for the moment of inertia with respect to the x-axis or the centroidal axis, no, with respect to x, so is a total of 855.3 inches to the power of 4. So that is our Ix. Now, if we are still going to compute for Iy, but again, as I've said earlier, since Iy is located at the center of everything, that means at the center of area 1, at the center of area 2, and also at the center of area 3, so there is no shift in centroid. So since there's no shift in centroid, we can directly use the formula of the moment of inertia based on the centroid. So that means we can use base times height cube over 12. So that's what we're doing here. So we have here Iy is equal to base 1 times height 12 inches. So that is for area 2. Sorry, nabali na ko, no? So anyway, base is 1 and then the height is 12 inches. So we cube that and then divide by 12. Plus, for area 1, we have your base 12 inches and then height 1 inch cube over 12. And then lastly, our area 3, we have here our, sorry, no, it's sakto gid no? This is for area 1, this is for area 2, and this is for area 3. No, so since we are using Iy, dili na tamag BH cube over 12. No? So again, since we are using Iy, also if you remember, we are to use B cube H over 12. No? So that's what we're doing here. So Why? Because medyo nibali naman ta, no? So um that's why here this first term, this is still for the area 1. So um our base is 12 inches cube times height 1 inch divided by 12. And then for area 2, we have here our base 1 inches, 1 inch cube over, times the height, which is 12 inches, and then divided by 12. Then lastly, for area 3, we have the base 6 inches times cube times the height 1 inch over 12. So that totals to 163 inches to the power of 4. And that is going to be our answer for moment of inertia with respect to x-axis and with respect to y-axis. With respect to x-axis, we have here Ix equal to 855.3 inches to the power of 4. And then for with respect to y-axis, we have here Iy is equal to 163 inches to the power of 4. So um, that ends our discussion for moment of inertia and a recap also for our centroid. So the next topic that we will have is going to be a part of the um, uh, pre-final na coverage. But for midterm coverage, we are only going to um, have the topic on centroid and also the moment of inertia. No? So I will be uploading soon also the video presentation or the discussion with regards to our next topic. No? So for now, that will be all. If you have questions, just comment down below kung asan ako i-post eh. And then I'll try to answer as best as I can. So we'll also um, post our schedule for um, midterm exam, and also before the midterm exam, let's have a quiz. So basically, during the midterm week, which as you know, has been suspended, or I mean postponed for a couple of times already. So on that week we will have our quiz, and then the next week after that is going to be our midterm exam. Now, so anyway, I will be posting for further updates later on. Now, so again, the next couple of topics will be posted also same as this one. So if you don't have um, any questions anymore, I mean, you can't reply. No, but yeah, since wala na, that will be all for today. Thank you and have a good one. See you when I next post something.